Some like it hot.
I typically go through about a bottle a day.
Some like it hotter.
If you can't do hot, you're not going to be in the hot sauce. That's bottom line.
And some like it on everything. People are getting hot and bothered in all 50 states and all around the world, from big makers to the little guys. Spices have influenced the history of the world, but these days, just a little bit of hot sauce can add some sizzle to your life. So let's get cooking. We'll talk to casual connoisseurs and straight-up junkies. Go to the source of the flavor and learn from the makers themselves. Let's turn up the heat to find out who's the best and how the best is done. Thousands of hot sauce brands can be found on supermarket shelves, ranging in heat from warm to seriously spicy. They all contain peppers, and they all exist to add a little heat. But there's so much more to it than that. To get to the bottom of this, we went to those who know it best. Meet the chili heads. That's right, the chili heads.
Chili head is anyone that loves peppers, hot sauce, or anything related to fiery foods.
Nick is the founder of the Hot Sauce blog, which is the home of all things sizzling.
We review hot sauces, wing sauces, barbecue sauces, and run anything from funny videos to stories about makers in the industry.
And clearly, he's not alone in his passion. Nick's site gets thousands of hits a day from ardent chili heads. The chili head phenomenon is strong enough to support its very own magazine, too. Chili Pepper magazine has hundreds of thousands of readers. These people are serious about their seasoning.
Hot sauces in particular are not something that they're casual about. They are passionate about it. They don't mess around.
They cook with chili peppers. They look for the hottest hot sauces and salsas and the new flavors. It's really quite amazing the degree to which people bring hot sauce and hot foods into every aspect of their life.
Today's chili heads aren't the first to have recognized the benefit of a little heat. No one knows which of our early ancestors first figured out that a touch of spice could perk up a dull meal or make rancid meat a little easier to stomach. But once used, spice took the world by storm. For untold eons, spices have been used as flavoring, medicine, even aphrodisiacs. The evidence is set in stone. Some of the earliest references to spice are recorded in hieroglyphics. In biblical times, spices were so precious that they even appear in the story of the Nativity, as powerful magi traveled to give gifts of frankincense and myrrh to the infant Jesus Christ. And the desire for spices shaped the world's economy. Caravans of camels bore spices from growers in the Orient to spice markets in the West. And the Persian Gulf, still today a source of much of the world's seasonings, was infested with pirates seeking to capitalize on the heavily trafficked trade routes. How valuable were spices? Well, Attila the Hun once demanded 3,000 pounds of pepper in return for a pledge not to ransack Rome. Saffron was literally worth its weight in gold. In 14th century Europe, those caught adulterating it were burned at the stake. And just 300 years later, the Dutch waged a bloody war in the East Indies, killing or enslaving thousands to maintain a monopoly over nutmeg production. Yeah, you heard that right. Nutmeg. It's an impressive history, to say the least. And peppers? It was only with the discovery of the New World that the pepper came into the rest of the universe's spice vocabulary. Christopher Columbus discovered the New World while searching for spices. But the only spices he found were capsicums. These flavorful peppers may have been new to the Old World, but they'd been used by the locals for thousands of years.
Archaeologists have found that Native Americans in Central and South America have been using it for thousands of years. They're using a lot of forensic methods to extract molecules of what a container might have held. And they're able to see that these Indians were using peppers to spice up their food way back when.
But just because Native Americans were using it didn't mean the settlers were quick to catch on. It would be a couple hundred years before the settlers, who would become Americans, caught the fever.
Ironically, It was the Mexican-American War that first really introduced chili peppers through Americans.
When Americans returned from war, they brought the peppers with them. So the chili peppers themselves have been around for a while, but hot sauce is a pretty new addition to the table. Why not just turn peppers into seasoning like other spices?
Hot sauce is going to be made with a pepper. It's going to be made with a fresh pepper. You can use dried peppers in hot sauce, but a spice just adds a dry heat to something, whereas a hot sauce is going to add a flavor to it.
And it's the flavor of the fresh peppers that we're looking for in today's hot sauce. The first examples of modern hot sauce came around in the mid-1800s, and most of them originated in southern Louisiana.
Sauces start to be advertised in the New Orleans papers, for example, in the early to mid-19th century.
One early brand that's still around today is the iconic Tabasco pepper sauce, created by Edmund McElhaney, first sold in 1869.
I mean, there were several others that tried to be commercial and they just didn't succeed, but he did succeed.
He wrote home to his wife from New Orleans in the late 1860s. I see I've got some competition in the MW, Mansell Whites, but the grocer says he sells 12 of mine for every one of Mansell Whites that he sells.
Tabasco became the industry leader in a relatively uncrowded field. They weren't alone, but Tabasco was so dominant, the brand became synonymous with hot sauce. Then in the 60s came a cultural revolution, led by buffalo wings.
Buffalo wings were invented in 1964 in Buffalo, New York, and that really brought hot sauce as something that people cook with. Also, the Whole Foods movement, I think, really made chilies come to the fore and hot sauce as well, and had people starting to cook with chilies and cook with hot foods at home.
This new generation of people looking to broaden their culinary horizons and a rapidly increasing Hispanic population helped America embrace its spicy side.
In the 1980s and 90s, the popularity of not only hot sauce, but picante sauces and salsas really began to take off.
A big turning point was in the early 90s when salsa overtook ketchup as the #1 US condiment, which I think defined that US tastes were changing to a more zesty and more flavorful type of food and cooking.
Two different companies started that were very influential on what's going on in hot sauce today. And one was started by a guy named Blair Lazar, and the other by a guy named Dave Hirschkopf. What they were looking for is hotter and hotter sauces. Both of them pioneered the use of extract, pepper extract, which is an extremely powerful chemical that's used even in pepper spray that would go into these hot sauces to make them hotter and hotter.
Fortunately for makers, there's a seemingly endless variety of peppers to make them with.
It's incredible how many types of chilies there are out there, and even just the ones that we find in our supermarket, the basics like jalapenos, serranos, habaneros. But there are just literally thousands upon thousands of varieties of chilies from around the world.
And don't forget the Tabasco pepper.
There is a variety of pepper that's named Tabasco, but that came about 20 years after our business started. It was actually named for our variety of pepper.
The sauce came first, then the pepper's name. One way to compare these ever-escalating scorchers, the Scoville scale. Established in 1912 by Wilbur Scoville, the Scoville scale is a shortcut to the right level of heat.
So the Scoville heat units is a measure of the capsaicin in the sauce, or in any hotness, I guess you could say. The capsaicin is an actual chemical that is naturally occurring in peppers.
It goes from 0, which is your bell pepper, and up to technically 500,000 for the habanero pepper in the terms of peppers.
The Tabasco pepper ranks in at about 2,000 to 5,000 Scovilles. But there's also Scotch bonnets, wax peppers, twilights, and lots more.
To some degree, the larger the pepper, the milder it is. So those tiny little chilies that you find in your Thai food, those are going to be hot.
Peppers are notorious for their ability to mutate quickly, so it's no surprise that there are new varieties of them being discovered all the time. The newest hottie to hit the scene? The Naga.
The Naga, it's from the UK and India actually. It is the hottest pepper. It was recently tested at 877,000 Scoville units.
You've got so many ranges of hot sauce, from mild to, XXX with habanero extract oil.
There are artificial ways to actually create a higher heat.
Anything over 1,000,000 Scoville units is going to be extract, and that's where they actually take the pepper, pull out the capsaicin, which is what makes a pepper hot, and reduce that down to an extract oil-based form. The hottest you can go is 16 million.
Even if you know how hot something is on the Scoville scale, that doesn't spell out how hot it's going to taste to you.
Sometimes it's a slow burn after you taste a hot sauce and it just kind of creeps up on you and all of a sudden it's, wow, that's hot. And sometimes it's like pouring liquid fire on your tongue and you say, ooh, on fuego.
I start to sweat about the 500,000 Scoville unit mark.
Me personally, I'm not a fan of extract-based sauces, and I don't use any extract in any of my products. I prefer just the natural heat from the chili pepper.
The hotter the better is not necessarily what we always look for. I appreciate a good flavor in a hot sauce. Flavor, for me, comes first. It's flavor, then fire.
So it's not just about the shock value of the hottest sauce that you can find, but it's more about artisanal hot sauces, using local products. And there's still a lot of the fun of it. There's still a lot of fun packaging that gets done and labeling.
So heat matters, but it's the flavor that really counts. And when they started trying them, they wound up collecting them.
Collecting was absolutely new to me when I started with this magazine, but it's incredible, especially with the internet, how popular collectibles have become.
It's kind of a strange market. Collectibles is a manufacturer letting his hair down, doing what he wants to do, coming up with some like really whacked out design on something.
I figured out that I had 10 bottles in the fridge and 10 bottles on the counter, so I had to do something with it. And I went online and started searching around and realized that there's a world of collectible hot sauces out there.
These days, hot sauce collecting is no accident. They collect for the flavors and the labels. The more creative, the better. It's a market that makers have begun to cater to with special editions, like this one-of-a-kind bottle of Defcon that Nick just got.
These are bottles you don't open. They're numbered, what, 1 through how many?
We have 91 made.
91. So these are available in limited numbers and collectibles. You put them on the shelf and you don't touch them. I've got number 2 of batch 2, number 3 of batch 3, and number 4 of batch 4.
I was right. I got 1 of batch 1. Got a routine.
Yeah. Next one, I want 5. Keep going.
Collectible bottles can fetch thousands of dollars, come in all shapes and sizes, and are a market all to themselves. Considering how many different brands there are, collectors have plenty of ways to empty their wallets.
You know, certainly as mom and pop as you get. Good old so-and-so whipping up a batch of their favorite hot sauce, in their garage, and everybody in the neighborhood loves it, and so they start bottling it, and, all the way up to advanced manufacturing plants.
For our last issue, we tasted about 250 sauces. And we were absolutely shocked to find that really none of them tasted the same. Each sauce tasted completely different. Nothing even reminded us of other sauces.
There's no end in sight as of yet. Any spice combination you can come up with, that's a hot sauce.
Coming up, head down to the cradle of the hot sauce nation and try the hottest pepper on the planet.
This one will hurt. Cheers.
Cheers!
When How the Best is Done returns. We've got the origins and history of hot sauce covered, but the real question is, what do you eat it on?
I think my favorite uses are with raw oysters,
gumbo,
Salads,
boiled egg,
Cheesecake.
hamburgers, chips.
crawfish etouffee.
On watermelon, on mango.
There are people who put hot sauce in their coffee.
I've made pancakes with hot sauce, made apple pie with hot sauce.
I mix it with ranch, put on some pizza. Ooh, God.
Welcome back to How the Best is Done. What keeps hot sauce junkies coming back for more?
It's an addiction.
And once you have it in your life, I find it's really hard to get it out of your life.
You have to have it on everything once you start.
There's some science behind the theory that it's addictive.
You do get an endorphin high from when you start to eat hot sauces.
It starts to burn, and for some people it's uncomfortable.
The pain actually releases pleasure chemicals in your brain, endorphins, and those endorphins make you feel good. So while you're sweating and hurting, you're actually also getting something of a rush.
You're getting a buzz, among other things. After all, no pain, no gain.
In general, people find that chilies are very healthy. They're great for your circulation. They make you feel good.
There's no calories. It's got vitamin C. It's good for your heart. It's good for your blood.
Another thing we've really found is that as people are more interested in low-fat cooking, adding chilies really helps add flavor because, fat is flavor. Also, chilies are flavor. So we find that as part of a healthy lifestyle, chili peppers can be a really big part of that.
And they're vegetables, so they've got to be good for you. But hot sauce can add a little spice to more than just your food.
Even the hottest sauces aren't going to send you to the hospital. All they're going to do is make you burn for a little while. So I think it's a really fun, safe way of taking risks and getting adventure into your life, and certainly into your food.
And if you want to go on a real adventure, you can do that too. With all the different locations that are home to a local hot sauce, people have made their favorite condiment part of their travel plans.
We travel to Texas, New Mexico, Albuquerque. We've gone down to Florida for hot sauces. We're going up to Canada next month.
It's a concept that has become a regular feature for Chili Pepper magazine.
In the magazine, we have a feature called Zesty Destinations, where we take people to the locations where their favorite sauces are made. And we really have found that people take these trips. People really love to go check out the company store, see how the hot sauce is made, and buy the apparel, do everything they can to participate in the making of their favorite sauce.
Once you're hooked, you're hooked. If you still don't find what you want, lots of people make it for themselves.
People start to shift from buyers and collectors to makers.
I was growing peppers in my backyard, and we had so many peppers one year that I had to do something with them, so I started experimenting with hot sauce and gave it to all my friends, and it just became an annual event. And after about 7 years of doing that, I decided to try to see what it would take to start a company.
My daddy used to make hot sauce and stuff like that, so it just is something that we grew up around, kept trying different ways to make it, and then I finally came up with a pretty good recipe that people sort of like, so I just stuck with it.
I love hot and I love food. So I was like, well, what's the one thing that people haven't been working with in the hot sauce business? And I kind of thought herbs.
I've gone to 2 major hot sauce shows, and those shows just bring out major chili heads. And all they're there for is to try every kind of hot sauce available.
Festivals are also a huge part of the chili lifestyle. They're all over, and they can be a big break for a small manufacturer.
A lot of the manufacturers converge, and the public comes in as well as buyers. All the manufacturers get to showcase all their products, and everyone gets to try out everything new, and it's a great time.
The Austin Chronicle Hot Sauce Festival in Austin, Texas is a great, fun show where thousands of hot sauces are tasted and judged, and it's just really a great celebration of hot sauce. And then, of course, our own Zest Fest event, which happens in Fort Worth, Texas, is where manufacturers come together and sell to the trade and to the public, and everyone gets to see the new sauces of the year.
We've got the Fiery Food Challenge, which is a professionally judged food contest. And we've got around 500 to 1,000 products entered in about 80 different categories, parsing the different types of hot sauces, barbecue sauces, and salsas.
Contests give new sauce makers a chance to show their stuff and woo insiders.
The real shift comes when you win an award. When you win those, then you put your name out in the industry, and the hot sauce retailers recognize you as a brand and start to buy you, and then all of a sudden you have mass-produced volume.
There's thousands of companies out there, and you have to get noticed somehow, and winning awards will get you noticed, and then you can run with it.
We just keep entering it, and people just fall in love with it when they try it.
So let's hit one of those festivals. But which one to choose?
If you want to learn about hot sauce, you have to come to New Iberia.
If the hot sauce queen tells you to go to Louisiana, you go.
So I saw the Cajun Hot Sauce Festival and I wanted to give it a shot and I wanted to see what it was all about.
The Cajun Hot Sauce Festival is an annual event here in New Iberia. It takes place in the heart of Cajun country, a small area of southern Louisiana with a rich and flavorful history.
Cajun is very fun. You have your own type of language, own way of eating.
To be born and raised in Louisiana and have a background of either French, or Spanish, or even African American. My mother, she was a Cajun from Nova Scotia. My daddy was from Spain.
We like everything flavorful. We like spice. We like it hot. Joie de vivre, so to say. This is where everything is done a little bigger, better, and hotter.
It certainly is. Cajuns know how to party, and their soundtrack is Zydeco music, a local specialty that's as captivating as it is catchy. But no party is complete without food. Fortunately, Cajuns also know how to cook. It's a long-standing source of pride in these parts, and around here, the flavor and the heat go hand in hand.
You got to be able to make things, you got to be able to cook things that do come up with flavor, that are good and unique.
I like that tanginess, that kind of flair that Louisiana food brings to you.
Cajun food is not necessarily real peppered, but a lot of spice, real spicier, and then basically with the hot sauce, it just adds it another kick.
I think the reason Cajuns are so heavily associated with highly seasoned food and pepper sauce is because when their Acadian ancestors came to Louisiana, it was not a French colony, but a Spanish colony. Because they came to part of the Spanish Empire very close to Mexico, there was a lot of trade that took place between the Tabasco region of Mexico. Peppers were exported in large quantities from those regions to Louisiana.
The unique combination of cultures in southern Louisiana have created a place like nowhere else, and the food is out of this world.
We start off with the holy trinity of Cajun food, the celery, bell pepper, and onions. Add your seasonings, your DeLon seasonings, salt, pepper, etc., and other secret ingredients I really can't tell you. With Cajuns, you put more spice in it, more seasonings in it. It's actually seasoned to taste. And if you want, you can add the hot sauce.
And add the hot sauce they do.
All of your hot sauce, it comes from around Louisiana. Your big bottles that really do a lot of marketing, they're all centered here in South Louisiana. So yeah, we're in the middle of hot sauce country here.
Chris runs the Hot Sauce Festival, and we caught her before the crowds came in.
Everything is geared with hot sauce in mind. We've got a big hot sauce competition. You know, it's a people's choicer. You can taste it, vote on it.
People's choice, eh? Sounds like our kind of competition. We grabbed Dan, a Washington State native heading to Florida via New Iberia.
One of the reasons for being down this low this soon on my trip is to experience some of the culture, and that has to certainly be food as well. I don't know Cajun food. I've only tried a couple of things. I had etouffee last night. Did I say that right? Told myself I would go back and do the taste test and give my vote. So I'm anxious to try all the varieties of it. I mean, that's what this is about, right?
The perfect judge and jury. We took Dan inside to give the people's choice a shot.
A little sweet. A little sweet. This one's got a little bit more punch to it.
I couldn't possibly test all 18 of those, but I got through about 6 of them, and it was terrific.
Nice job, Dan. You're gonna get burned eventually. And when you do, there's some do's and don'ts for a quick recovery.
You can skip the water, it won't really help you, it'll just move the heat around.
Really the best way to cool down from hot food is dairy. There's the casein, the milk protein in dairy. It really smooths out the heat. It keeps it from spreading around and it just cools everything down.
Go with sugar water, dairy, some chocolate, cheese and crackers, but I'd stay away from sodas and beers and things like that unless you just want to exacerbate it. And I'm sure there are some people who do.
Keep the dairy at the ready, but use it in moderation.
And then we pull out the whipped cream and the ice cream and the sour cream and watch our cholesterol levels grow as our hot sauce levels grow.
Yeah, moderation. So, how do the hardcore hot saucers savor the flavor? Let's head back to our panel of chili heads who are having a tasting of their own. Lars, Amir, and John have contributed sauces of their own making, while Nick brought along a surprise.
All right, let's let the tasting begin. Open your bottles.
First up, Lars's Red Savina sauce.
Csigi Red Savina chili sauce.
I'm a little scared of this one because it's Red Savina habanero, which is hot.
It won't bite.
Yeah, it will bite.
After about 5 seconds.
We're gonna go deep here. Needs more. It's not too hot. Good mild flavor. Good, I can taste the pepper.
Hello, where's the sugar?
Smoky and delicious. It's very good. Very good.
That was just a warm-up. Next on the menu, a little gift from Nick. Concentrate from the hottest pepper ever.
Okay.
Seriously, the Naga ranks in at 877,000 on the Scoville scale. But is it tough enough to make these guys sweat?
Let's just do this straight.
And how many Nagas are supposed to be in there?
It's just pure Nagas. So it's like eating a Naga. 1, 2, 3. All right, starting to kick in. It's gonna start to burn. It's not instantaneously hot though.
Yeah, it's slow.
Yes, it's just staying
slow.
there.
Get that and just tightening in the chest a little.
And burn does this makes you happy.
Yeah, that's hot.
It's building a little bit.
Yeah.
But nobody's going home until somebody cries. Looks like the milk got here just in time.
Yeah, Defcon Zero. It's our own little concoction. It's quadruply distilled habaneros. There's about 10 pounds of dried habaneros in this little bottle. It's happy.
Woo! This is zero bad core.
No, I produce the stuff. I don't need to eat it.
This is extract. It's hotter than the hottest pepper grown. So hot that they only need a toothpick of it. Get ready to burn.
Here we go. Bottoms up, guys.
That damn pepper.
There it is. Oh.
It tastes like whiskey to me.
Tastes like burning.
It almost has that warming sensation of bourbon.
It makes you nice and happy.
Yeah, it does. Wow. That's hot.
I don't like you anymore.
Oh my God, John, that's evil.
The plate's hot.
It does give you like a little high though. Like my ears are ringing, you know, like.
Your ears are ringing?
Yeah.
Just taking the pain. That's all you can do.
It's like a buzzing, like warm feeling in my head.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's probably, you know, like
needs
when
hair
someone
gel.
shoots up for the first time, it's how it feels. You probably don't feel it anymore.
I want more.
Told you it was addictive. Coming up,